Hello, everyone, and welcome into Episode 2 of Season 2 of Skyhawk Sports Talk. Gregory here with me, Chris Brinkley. Very fun show for you all here today. We've got multiple student-athletes on with us. Also, head coach of the UT Martin football team, Jason Simpson, will join us. Skyhawks just played Kansas State. They've got a big game this Saturday against SEMO in the Big South OVC. Going to be a really fun week, Chris, and we're going to jump into this week in Skyhawk athletics, starting out with soccer. Just played this Sunday against Murray State, but this Thursday they'll be at Louisville at 6:30. That one on ACC Network Plus. And then they'll be at home on Sunday against Northern Iowa at Skyhawk Field. That'll be at 1 p.m. also on ESPN Plus. But make sure to come out. That's going to be the last home match until conference play starts on September 29th. So make sure you go out there and support your Skyhawks in that one. Next up, volleyball, Skyhawk Classic. It'll be a home tournament for the UT Martin volleyball team, and we'll hear from Dylan Mott here in a second, student-athlete here at UT Martin. Skyhawks on Friday will face Arkansas Pine Bluff at 11:30. That one will be on ESPN Plus, and the next one also live-streamed on ESPN Plus. That'll be North Alabama at 6:30, so a doubleheader for the orange and blue. And then Saturday, they'll have Missouri State at home as they wrap up the Skyhawk Classic at 2 p.m. And then finally, football, taking on Southeast Missouri at 6 p.m. UT Martin, winning last year, clinched a share of the Big South OVC Championship. SEMO, very talented team, just cut it real close with New Mexico State over this past weekend. That game will be on ESPN Plus and also the Skyhawk Sports Network starting at 5:30. What a week we've got again, Chris.
Can't wait to talk to Coach Simpson about that. When I first saw the schedule, I thought there's no way they're in week 2. I mean, really, but that's the case, and it could be an advantage for either team, really, depending on how you look at it.
It's going to be a very fun show today. Make sure to stay tuned. We'll take a break here on Skyhawk Sports Talk.
Skyhawk Sports Talk podcast is brought to you by Weekly Ford Nissan.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Skyhawk Sports Talk. Gregory here with Chris Brinkley, our first guest of the show today. UT Martin offensive guard, graduate Josiah Tingley. Josiah, thanks so much for joining us here today.
Thanks for having me, and it's always a pleasure to be here, and just looking forward to it.
And a graduate student as well. Chris already got his degree.
Yep.
So what are we doing now here for classes?
I'm currently enrolled in getting my master's in business. So
Fantastic.
I started my MBA. It's my first semester of it, and hope to wrap that up next fall. So.
Nice.
Awesome.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Are the classes harder?
They're much. I did mechanical engineering undergrad,
Oh.
and switching to business has been it's been a joy.
It has been a relief, to say the least. So from Cordova, Tennessee, went to Evangelical Christian High School. Now, correct me if I'm wrong on this. I'm pretty sure we did talk about this. You walked on here at UT Martin, and now you've been a starter for the past 3 seasons. First of all, that is a remarkable story. So congratulations on that. I mean, that is – just talk about that journey, too. I mean, what went into saying, okay, I want to walk on here and try to play Division I collegiate football?
Yeah, so coming out of high school, I really no offers at all. A couple of D3 schools I talked to here and there. Martin had talked to me a lot when Coach Polizzi was still here and the D coordinator. He talked to me heavily. He came to my high school all the time and talked about being a preferred walk-on here. And so it took a lot of thought, a lot of talking with my parents, and I decided it was better for me to do that than go off to a faraway D3 school where my school still wouldn't be paid for in D3. And the plan was to come in here and get put on scholarship the next year after talking with Bannon and Coach Jones at the time. And with COVID, everyone got to come back, and that didn't work out that way. So a lot of thought went into it, and definitely thought about quitting at times, being a walk-on and not sure if I was ever going to get to play, everyone coming back. Wasn't paying for my school. Was it worth the summer hours putting it in? But I decided to stick with it, and Coach Bannon gave me a lot of encouragement and told me they really needed me here and wanted me here. So I decided to stick with it, and finally I found a role in that 22 season, finally getting to be kind of the sixth man and fitting in there, starting when Hatchie was away. And it's been quite the journey. It's been a lot of support from the room. I don't think I could do it if I was in a different offensive line room, not with these guys. I mean, having the guys I have around me and seeing Drake stick through an injury that in the 22 season, he still came back, and I was like, well, if these guys can do it, I should be able to do it too. So
100%.
There's a lot of guys that come out of high school and they want to play at this level and they don't have offers. What is your advice to someone who wants to walk on?
It takes a lot of grit, and I would say don't let the stars and the recruiting process get to you. I mean, especially in now's time, because when I was coming out of high school, the portal was still kind of getting introduced. But in now's time, if there's talent there and work there, the coaches will find you. There's they find you in JUCO, they find you in D3, D2. It doesn't matter. College ball is college ball, and if you stick and work, the coaches will find you.
Yeah.
I still remember one of your first games. We talked about this after the U teamies. Was that so? Mathon Hatchie was out for the season opener in 2022 against Western Illinois.
Yep.
I remember Alex Bogus came into the press box. This while still doing student radio, and so he comes in there and is like, "Okay, we're going to have this freshman starting out. This is his first start today." And I thought, oh goodness, here we go! Like, first game of the year, we got a true freshman starting at center. You know, and Hatchie was an All-American preseason and everything, pretty much everything, consensus, this, that, and the other. But you come in there and the game ends up opening up. You all win by, like, I think 20-something points and run the football so well. I remember from that point on, I was like, okay, that guy right there is going to be a stud. And, I mean, it really has proven. What was that like when you, I mean, knew of it in the offseason? Like, okay, he's going to be gone. I've got my moment. And you 100%, you made the most of it, 100%.
Yeah, it was incredible. I just knew going in that once I got that opportunity, I needed to capitalize so that through the rest of the season they knew if they needed someone to put in, I would be their guy. And it was nice to be able to – I mean, I ended up taking snaps in just about every game that season, even when the games were close. I was able to go in because they knew from that first game that I could handle it. And I think experience is king in college ball, especially. That's what's helped us in the interior so much is we've all taken so many snaps throughout the years that every snap in a game is so much different than in practice, and every game snap you get develops you more as a player. So.
And let's talk about the position of offensive line. Of course, I've been very vocal about my love for my fellow Boss Hogs.
We appreciate that.
100%. Love the Boss Hogs. But so talk about a little bit more about the details of the offensive line and how, you know, you all have to do checks, you all have to communicate with each other, because when someone sends a stunt blitz at you, I mean, you have to get that over to the other guy. It is really, it's probably the most underrated position on the entire football.
I think it's a common misconception, you know, that we're the big guys out there. We're just the meatheads that are going to go out there and just constantly hit back and forth, but it's a very detailed position. I mean, it's a position where the smallest inches and the difference of a step matters, and the communication is the biggest thing. I mean, we're not getting the signal, we're getting the play from the quarterback, and then we have to dissect the defense. We can check it based off blitzes we see, and have to be in communication not only with the running back but with the quarterback and each other. I mean, it's a really fun thing to break down when you go into film, and you're just looking for anything you can on the defense that they tip their hat to what they might be doing. And I do think it's a common misconception that we just line up and go out there, get a play call, and just go. No, we can check. We can change. Vance does a really good job with it, especially of checking how we're going to block a certain scheme and doing it different than how we might have originally lined up thinking we were going to, and allowing us to pick up a blitz, or we just see that they're short on one side and we check it that way instead.
And what's the separation between what you just described in high school and then moving to college?
It's a very large step, at least for me personally. I mean, I played center in high school myself, and I would really put out a mic point of who we were picking out in protection, and then we would roll out there and just hope we could run it well. Whereas now everything is established, every double team is established, every person we're picking up, who the quarterback has to read, whether it's a run or a pass, who he's hot off of. It just amplifies more and more, especially week after week as you develop more as a team in college.
Yeah.
And talk about the brotherhood and the chemistry between you and those offensive line guys, because you all are so very tight, and I feel like that group too. I mean, you have to have a lot of chemistry and be able to work together.
Oh yeah, I mean we're always hanging out outside of football as well. I mean, without each other, we wouldn't be able to make it through a 25-day camp like we were able to do. Drake's actually one of my roommates, so you know we're always hanging out downstairs, having a good time, watching football. Now that college football's back, we were watching the LSU game last night. He's a big LSU fan, so we were trying to cheer them on. I mean, it's important to know you have the trust on and off the field, and it's less of a switch that has to get flipped on the field when he's one of your brothers off the field as well.
So you're watching a college game like us on TV. What do you look for?
You know, sometimes I try to just enjoy the game as a fan and just sit there and watch the game, but it's hard not to kind of break it down from an offensive lineman perspective.
Yeah.
I mean, me and Drake were sitting there while they were on the goal line, just trying to think of what play they might run on the goal line, and then one of the LSU linemen had a great block, and we sat there and watched that while the announcers were talking about the running back scoring. We were talking about the block that was made, and So it's we switch back and forth between just trying to enjoy the game and, I mean, it's hard not to analyze it when you're a player yourself. So
Yeah.
We had Coach Simpson on last week, talked to him about the offensive line, how you all have so many returners there, and then also Coach Bannon has been here at UT Martin for quite some time too. Talk about the lessons that you've learned from them and the relationship you have with both those guys.
Yeah, I mean, it's been great getting closer with Bannon. I mean, like I said, he was one of them who gave me a lot of encouragement to stay here when I was a walk-on and still not sure if I wanted to continue playing. And I'm super grateful to him and Coach Simp. They both have been great to me. I mean, Simp welcomes me into his home all the time whenever I want to show up. Even though I still have another year, he's treating me as one of the seniors and having me in there and expects me to lead this team. And I'm so grateful to him. And Bannon has taught me a lot through my years. I mean, it was such a switch up. I mean, we were such a run-heavy offense in high school, and coming here and trying to be diverse and be able to pass and run, I wasn't very good at it at first, but Bannon was patient with me and just continued to develop me as a player, telling me that I was going to be a starter here eventually, and I just had to trust in him. And now we're here, so it's been great.
And here we are. Look at where we are now. So that senior dinner that you all had a couple weeks ago, what were some of the missions and the goals that you all talked about here for this season?
You know, it was just about us guys who have been here and setting the standard for the team and understanding, like, the ups and downs that are going to come with a football season. Nothing's going to go perfect all the time. I mean, it's already happened this past Saturday, but it's how we would hold the standard of how the team will bounce back while we're playing bad and how we'll continue to maintain the standard while we're playing good. It's just getting that group of guys together that he thinks the core of the team and just setting the standard now so that it doesn't come up later in the season. We can look back on that and see we already said it then and continue from there.
Non-football answer. You come in as a walk-on wanting to play at this level. Now here you are knowing this is the final chapter of your college career. How have you grown?
Non-football answer. I'm definitely a lot more patient with things outside of life, whether it's school or just job opportunities and such things like that. With having to wait in football, wait my turn, you know, I had to 2 years I didn't take a snap. I just sat there and I waited and I waited. It's taught me to appreciate learning while I'm not the main person, and it allowed me in my internship over last summer to just accept, even though I didn't have a major role, I could sit there and learn things from my boss and understand things and grow as a worker at that point.
Yeah, good answer.
Yeah, big game coming up here this Saturday. SEMO. Chris and I were talking about it as we introed the show. It feels weird that this game
SEMO
is
already
start the
play.
season.
Yeah.
And so you go from a Kansas State team that was very physical, very tough, and it's going to be the same thing really with a SEMO squad. And you add the rivalry on top of it, all the championships that have been won from both sides. And what's you all's mindset going into this week for practice as you lock in?
You know, it's every week. We try and treat every week that we're going to go 1-0. We don't worry about past game. Well, obviously, we learn from past games, but we don't keep those on our mind, and we don't worry about future games. We focus on going 1-0 each week. And, you know, like you said, they're a physical team. Every year we feel like SEMO is one of our most physical games, whether it's the end of the year or the beginning of the year, just that rivalry that's there. And they've been off to a good start. They just barely came up short this past Saturday against the FBS opponent, and then they won week 1 against UNA, who's a future opponent for us. So they've got a squad that it's going to be a physical, tough game for us.
I'm going to ask Coach Simpson this later, but how's it an advantage playing somebody this early?
An advantage?
Yeah, I want it. Yeah.
I mean, definitely, it's a thing with more games under your belt allows you to realize your identity as a team. So it's nice that they're not as developed, but we're also not as developed. They managed to play that week 0 game, so they have 2 games. So barring any injuries, they've got 2 games compared to our 1. But it's an advantage because in the same way we still have a lot of guys healthy. I mean, once you get towards the end of the season, guys are banged up and they're tired. We're right now, for the most part, we're pretty healthy, and we're looking we still have a lot of juice. I mean, we're coming out of camp. We've only had 1 opponent. It's always nice to play against somebody else other than your own team. So there's a lot of energy still in there that goes into this game.
So before we let you go, it's somebody's very special birthday.
Yes,
today.
it is.
It is your mom's birthday, so happy birthday.
Yeah, I got to say happy birthday to my mom.
Just look right at that camera.
Right
happy birthday, Mom. I love you. I know you're watching. You tune in every week. You know, you might be the biggest fan of the show. So,
And we have to give her a shout-out, too, because she watches that. Your family goes back when we're at home and goes back and watches all the broadcasts.
Yes, they do.
So what's your mom's
They're
name?
great.
Christy.
Christy, and tell us something really cool about her.
Oh, she's the best. I mean, I was home. So before I moved to Cordova, I was homeschooled actually, And so she was my teacher all the way up until high school.
Nice.
And
Yeah.
that managed to get me an engineering degree. So clearly she knew what she was doing.
She knew exactly. Hey, mom knows best.
Yep.
That's exactly
Yep.
what it is. Josiah Tingley, thanks so
Yeah.
much for coming on,
Thank
man.
y'all for
Good luck
having
this
me.
week. We will take a break, and when we come back, we'll have Dylan Mott on with us here on Skyhawk Sports Talk.
Skyhawk Sports Talk Podcast is brought to you by Weekly Ford Nissan.
And welcome back to Skyhawk Sports Talk here at Zaxby's in Martin, Tennessee. Chris Brinkley back with me, and now joining us, Dylan Mott.
Hey, Dylan.
Hi.
From the UT Martin volleyball team and beach volleyball
yep.
team.
That's right.
Can't forget about beach.
Dual sports
Yeah.
athlete.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you have to add on the beach volleyball aspect too, especially with the success you all have had in that sport as well. How are we
Yeah.
doing today? Labor Day.
Labor Day.
And we got you working.
I've been at the gym all day. You know, we lifted at 8, went into practice at 9, and then I ran here after practice. So it's been a busy
So
Labor
you've been
Day.
working on a Labor Day.
I have lots of work today. Yeah.
Yes, but I will say this. I was in there getting the script, everything ready to go, and yet again, the playlist on point.
It was some sad country today. I don't know if you caught on
No,
to that
I did.
vibe.
I did. But it was like, you're drinking a morning coffee, you're getting ready for a morning
Yes.
practice.
Who makes
It was
the
really good.
playlist?
So last year it was Hallie Everett, and she killed the playlist every day. She
It
would
was
go
amazing.
home and she would craft a different playlist for every day of practice.
Yeah.
This year it's Kristen Phillips and Jenna Valley. They
And
kind
they're-
of take turns back and forth.
And sad country?
Sad Country was today. That was a new one. We haven't ever had a Sad Country day.
Old sad country or like new sad?
Newer.
I heard Luke Combs out there,
Okay.
so
yeah,
it was
Better
good.
Together was on there. A couple
Yeah.
of just sad ones.
Yeah.
But it was good. It was perfect for a morning. It was perfect for a morning.
Yeah.
Listen,
Yeah.
they know what they're doing.
We
Yeah.
do pride ourselves on our music taste.
There's-
We've been
there's-
told we have good music.
So if you were making the playlist, what are 3 songs that would be on there? No doubt.
Songs?
Oh,
Can I
this is
do
a good
artist?
Yeah. you
Okay,
can.
I would definitely have Taylor Swift on there.
Okay.
Okay.
I would have Machine Gun Kelly.
Okay.
And right now, Sabrina Carpenter.
Okay.
Yeah, so like
Sabrina
a little bit
Carpenter,
of.
yeah, she's picked up a lot of
Yeah.
steam here recently. She's been a very popular
Yeah.
artist.
Have
Love
you
her.
seen Taylor in person?
I haven't. We actually went to the same high school.
What?
Yeah, I know we did.
Hendersonville?
She went to Hendersonville High School.
Yeah.
Our auditorium is named after her because she was there right before she made it big in
So
Nashville.
if I were to walk in the high
Oh my
school and I
gosh.
didn't know where I was or who used to
Mm-hmm.
be here, how would I know that Taylor Swift went there? Are there pictures or?
There are some pictures. You know, we have
Yeah.
the auditorium. There's a lot of things around town that kind of
Mm-hmm.
point to that she lived in Hendersonville. But yeah,
Yeah.
I love to tell people that. Like if I hear a
Yes.
song on, I'm like, she
Yeah.
went to my high school.
That is so cool. That is
Yeah.
absolutely awesome. So your 5th year here with volleyball and beach volleyball.
Mm-hmm.
We already got Hendersonville, Tennessee. Talk about learning the game of volleyball growing up, and we'll get into it here in a second. But your mom, a collegiate head coach, talk
Mm-hmm.
about how you started to love this game.
Yeah, so I've been around volleyball my entire life. Out the womb, I was in the gym. I was put in ball carts. I was always at practices. So I think just growing up around the game, I just was picking up on things that I didn't even realize. So that's why I have such a high IQ, is because I was in the gym every single day I was growing up. And of course, I have my mom. We love to talk and reflect, not even about myself in volleyball, but if we're watching a big school play, we're talking about what they're doing, what's going on, who's having a good game, who's not, and kind of the why behind that. So I just love talking about volleyball, being around it, because I have obviously been around it my whole life.
Coaching is in your future?
Possibly. I've done some coaching. I've gotten into coaching boys volleyball.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of been expanding in Tennessee. That's been really exciting to be a part of, because there is not a lot of opportunities for them to play.
Yeah.
So it's kind of nice to push that out there and be supportive of it. But yeah, maybe collegiate coach somewhere, who knows?
So 4th in Skyhawk program history and digs, climbing up that list, multi-time OVC champion, indoor and with beach as well. I mean, talk about how you came in here. I mean, UT Martin volleyball was starting to rise up, but you all have taken it to heights that it's never been to before. Talk about what that means to you.
It means so much. It really does. When I first got here, I struggled a lot. It was during COVID. The team was so different. I don't think we have anyone besides me and Addie Vaughn. The whole team has changed, and we actually talked the other day of, we're happy leaving because we know that it's better than when we found it.
Yeah.
Like, we have put so much time, effort, and energy into building relationships with the team and kind of setting those team standards, and it's showing on the court. I mean, when you win in 2 different sports, like, that's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's dominance like we haven't ever seen. I
Yeah.
mean, in the OVC.
And
it's truly
Coach
remarkable.
we talked to Coach last week, I think, about you and talked about that earned respect that the both of you discuss that. Yeah.
We struggled a little bit. I was very kind of shy when I came onto campus. I was very closed off and reserved, and slowly we kind of just started to break down that barrier. I think we both got more comfortable with each other. She would always talk to me about volleyball, so that's kind of how our relationship started to grow outside of, you know, being on the court. She would come up and be like, hey, did you see this person play, or did you see the result of this game? And I think those little conversations slowly started to be like, okay, like there's a little bit of sense of trust here. But now we both have a really good sense of trust and respect, and I love talking to her about volleyball.
Were you a shy person or just shy with coach and with the team?
I was shy just in general.
Are you now?
No, I'm not, which
And
is
what
crazy.
happened? Yeah,
I
what
don't know.
happened?
I
Yeah.
just have become a whole new person, and I love it. I've had professors come up to me and be like, you are so different
Yeah.
your freshman year versus now. So it's rewarding. It's a rewarding feeling to know that people recognize that and how I have come out of my shell, I
Yeah.
guess.
And your professors obviously love you. We'll get to this now. I mean, you graduated in 2023, degree in management,
Yep.
now going for a master's degree in sports management,
I am.
correct?
Yep.
So won the OVC Scholar Athlete Award last season. Now that's considered, for people who don't know what that is considered to be the highest individual accolade that an OVC student athlete can win. Talk about your work in the classroom and then also being able to perform there and then also on the court or out there on the beach.
Yeah, I was kind of lucky in the sense that I did start my college career during COVID, so everything was online. I wasn't going to class, so I had a lot of time to actually sit down and focus and do my work. And once I started getting, you know, those 4.0s, I was on the dean's list. I'm like, wait, I kind of like that feeling. I love academic validation, so it kind of motivated me to do really well in the classroom.
I have to ask you a question because I don't know if we've ever interviewed an athlete that had this standard academically, but also did what you did athletically at the top in both segments. Which was more difficult?
Oh, gosh.
That's a good question.
That is a good question. Honestly, probably academics. I mean, I stress a lot over academics. I really am striving to keep that 4.0. It's like, I mean, I've had it my whole time here. Like, I don't want to let go of that. Athletics comes a little bit more natural to me. I have to spend a lot of time outside of practice, like studying and, you know, preparing myself for school. But volleyball just comes very natural to me. So I don't really ever have to worry or stress about that.
And then the follow-up is, what's your advice to younger student athletes, to the freshmen now? How do you excel in your sport and in the classroom?
It's all about time management. I mean, you have to have a good sense of, I like to plan things. I like to have a schedule. I like to check things off that I have planned for every single day. So kind of blocking out a time that you think you're the most productive. So I know I work really well in the morning and like before lunch. After lunch, I'm tired.
Yeah.
So I do all my work in the morning and then I get to go to practice and I get to chill after that. So I would just say time management is a big thing.
Have you studied on a bus before?
I always tell myself that I'm going to. It's very hard.
It never happens.
I don't know if you guys have ridden on the Skyhawk
Yeah,
bus.
yeah.
It's very
We
shaky.
have not had the blessing of being on the
It is
side.
a blessing.
I do know about motion sickness, though. So
I don't
yeah.
even get that, but I mean, man, my computer screen is going like this. I'm like, I can't see anything.
No, and then that starts to mess you up. And you're like, I need a Dramamine real quick.
Yeah.
I can't handle
And then
what's
you're
going
just
on.
sleepy after
Yeah,
that.
and
I
then,
mean,
yeah,
who
and
wants
then
to study?
You can't be focused or anything after
no.
that. So a lot of chemistry goes into really any sport, volleyball too, but beach volleyball. I want to focus in on that. In 2022, you and Karen Scanlon were the ones, then Logan Walk in 2023, and then Sydney Eckhart this past season. Talk about building up that chemistry with a teammate. And, I mean, you've had to do it for now 3 years straight,
Yeah.
and you've been very, very good at it.
It's tough. I mean, me and Karen are super close today, but when we started playing together, we weren't really friends. So you kind of have to, again, find that sense of trust and respect for each other and realize that you're trying to work together and accomplish something for yourselves and the team. Same thing happened with Logan. We were not close at all when we became partners, and slowly we started gaining trust and respect, and now I'm going to dinner with her tonight. Like, we're really good friends. And Sydney's just so easy to get along with, so that really wasn't a struggle at all.
Is trust and respect more important in beach because just there's the two of you?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, it's just you and one other person out there.
Yeah.
In indoor, you get to rely on 5 other people, and you have all of your teammates on the bench. But in beach, I mean, you can't even have your coach coaching you during the game, really, unless it's a timeout. So it's really just you and your partner working to figure out how are you going to win this match.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
And now your mom, we talked about it at the beginning when we had you on. Your mom, Taylor, head volleyball coach at Austin P. And, I mean, you've been a student of the game basically your whole life.
Yeah.
And we talked about you and your conversations with Coach Wilson, too. I mean, talk about the journey, I guess, from high school coming up, and then it's like, okay, well, I think I want to go to UT Martin instead of Austin P.
Yeah, so I'm actually here because of a conversation that my mom and Jacqueline had when I was playing during club, and it was a joke. My mom was like, hey, if you need like a DS Libero for 2020, like Dylan's here. And Jacqueline was like, oh, wait, like we do need that. So that's why I'm here, is because they were talking and made a little joke about it. I don't even know what to say about my mom. I love her so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's been a great coach, too.
Yeah.
What was it like to be on the other side, though, when you were playing Austin Peay?
So stressful. The very first time we played was during COVID, and I think we played 2 games that day. And during warm-ups, I was getting tunnel vision because I was so stressed out about, obviously I want to win, but like it's my mom. She wouldn't even look at me across the net. That was really stressful. And then slowly it started to get easier, and then thankfully they left the OVC and now they're in the ASUN.
And then now it's all worked out. It's like, okay. Oof.
Yeah.
So I even read an article, I don't know if you watch basketball, but LeBron James and his son are going to play together, and he's made a rule that his son can't call him dad during practice or during a game. He has to call him 23 or something. So I can't imagine your mom coaching against you, because there's nobody that knows your game better than your mom. And you probably know your mom's coaching style better than anybody out there, including her own players. And there you are.
Yeah, it was really hard. Her assistant at the time, he was like my big brother, and he would just be talking to me through the net, trying to get in my head, and my mom wouldn't even look at me. So it was like 2 polar opposite things going on. And after the game, I'm like, I hate you so much. He's like, oh, really? He's like, you didn't like that? I'm like, no, I didn't like that. But I do play my best against them. So I guess that's a plus.
Yeah.
So 5th year, guessing this is probably the last year for you.
Yep, all out of eligibility.
So what's one thing this year that you're focusing in on that you're going to enjoy more than years prior?
I think a big thing is my relationship with my teammates. I think in the past I've kind of taken that for granted. But now that it is my last year and I know it's my last year, I'm kind of taking in the moment. I'm wanting to go out and hang out with them and build those relationships and kind of keep the program going in a good way, if that makes sense. But I just want to have fun and enjoy my last year.
Fantastic. Dylan Mott, thank you so much for coming on with us.
Thank
Good
you
luck
so
in
much.
this season. We will take a break. When we come back, we'll have Parker Gelinas from UT Martin Soccer joining us.
Skyhawk Sports Talk Podcast is brought to you by Weekly Ford Nissan.
And back here on Skyhawk Sports Talk, Davis Gregory here with Chris Brinkley. Now joining us from the UT Martin soccer team, Parker Gelinas, a senior from Germantown, Tennessee. Parker, thanks so much for joining us on this Labor Day.
Thanks for having me.
So before we rudely interrupted your Labor Day and brought you in here, what's the game plan today? What are we doing?
Just hanging out. We got back from a game yesterday, so just taking the day off, relaxing.
Relaxing, getting some
during
rest.
the season, you don't get a lot of days off, do you?
No, just one.
Yeah, so you really have to take advantage of it.
Yeah, and I mean, to start this year, so going into it, senior defender, Germantown, Tennessee, and first of all, congratulations, OVC Defender of the Week
Thank you.
in the opening week. And we talked to Coach Varga, and I think that was so special. I mean, not just for him or me or anyone that knows your story, but to see you win that was so awesome, considering, I mean, you won OVC Freshman of the Year 2021, then injured 22, and then 23. How awesome was it for you to be able to see that? Oh, we're out.
We're good. We're good.
It was like bringing me back to freshman year.
Right.
And I'm just grateful to like be back, and like it just feels nice to get that confidence after being injured.
Right. It's nice to be back.
Yeah.
And it's awesome to see you back out there and know that, I mean, all that potential, it's still there. So talk about, you got hurt in the off season before this year started, and thought that it was another ACL and it was over.
Yeah.
When did you find out, and what was your reaction? Was, oh, okay, I can still play.
It was right after surgery, because going into it, Dr. Vance, he tested my knee, and he was like, it's giving like a lot more slack than I would like, so just going in, expect to get your ACL repaired again. And I was like, okay, if he's saying that, then it must be torn.
Right.
And so I got surgery, and I was just in a terrible headspace, knowing like I thought I knew it was like my ACL and everything. And then as soon as I got out of surgery, the first thing I asked was like, did he do my ACL? And they were like, no. I was like, oh my gosh, I was so happy.
We're back.
Yes, I was so happy.
We're all the way back.
In life, you learn sometimes when something is taken away from you, you learn to appreciate it more. What was that process like for you?
I was grateful. Like, And I think like the experience, like my experience is so different from a bunch of other athletes, and like it's not the cards that I wanted to be dealt, but I think with that comes different opportunities and different lessons that you learn.
And what did you learn?
Like just building relationships with, like strong relationships with my coaches and my teammates and athletic trainers and like strength and conditioning. Like they all put in so much effort to injured players, and like you don't see that until you're an injured player.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's just nice to like have so much support.
Yeah, I didn't want to give a shout out to our trainers who.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh,
work
yes.
tirelessly.
Yes. Bart there.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
Yes.
the absolute best. They
No,
do
they
such a
are.
great job.
You spent a few minutes in the training
Oh
room.
yeah. I'm pretty close with them. Yeah.
So now, as you watch the game from the sideline in the past couple of seasons, and obviously got close with the coaches and everything, and watching the game from there, how have you been able to apply the information you got from just watching the games on the side to now being back in action?
Yeah, you're able to see like, okay, in this situation I would do this, or that was great, like I remember that to do that. And so it's like watching a game on TV kind of, and it's you just remember this worked, this didn't, this worked, and you just apply it when you're out there.
The saying I like is you can't see the picture as well when you're in the frame.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You were outside of the frame, but you were still kind of in that picture.
Yeah.
You were just in a different place.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now, getting into this 2024 season, it's crazy to say 2024.
I know.
mean, we were just in, I don't know. It's crazy. It is crazy how fast time goes and everything. But getting into this new team and still a lot of returners, how have you all been able to mesh with each other here with a couple matches under your belt?
Like personally wise, I think we are always such a tight-knit group, and we just get along together so well on and off the field. I do think there's still a lot of room to grow on the field. We're not where we're not where we want to be right now, but there's still so much time, and like there's so much potential. So it's a close-knit group of girls.
And 100%. So, I mean, just talk about, I guess, some of these returners that have come back too, and those bus rides up. I know that there's a tradition that the freshmen sing on the bus.
Yes.
Has that already happened?
No, it has not. Because we haven't taken a charter yet, and so we need to.
Okay.
We need
So
everyone
what's the
to.
tradition? Explain it for us.
You have to sing. You have to have just headphones on, and you can't hear
you have
yourself.
to have headphones on?
Yes, you
Well,
can't hear yourself.
individually or
Yeah.
as a group?
I did a group. I did with one other person, Brooke Kalla.
Yeah.
Which was fun.
What was your song?
Oh my gosh, I think it was Stacy's mom.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Who picks the song?
I picked that one.
For some reason, I thought Brooke had picked that song. I don't know.
I mean,
that
that
feels
would-
like Brooke
Yeah.
would pick that. And
Is there a recorded history of this?
I think there might
Yeah,
be.
there
but
needs to be.
You're not gonna get it.
That's an
We
exclusive.
could play a clip right here on the
Right,
podcast.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's an exclusive clip. So, I mean, talk about Brooke. I mean, spending some time around you all with
Yeah.
media day and everything
Oh my
like that, and
gosh.
seeing some of her mannerisms on the sideline. She's throwing up a dab before
my
games
gosh, I
get
know.
started. I'm like, Brooke is very expressive.
Yes.
Talk about her.
She's just a bolt of energy, and she is just so fun to be around. And she's like so like technical and serious when she needs to be, but just having that like energy is so good for the team. And like honestly, being injured, like it's just so nice to have like a lighthearted
Yeah.
like
Is she
relationship.
like that all the time?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And it's so crazy because like she's an engineer major,
Yeah.
and I'm like, how are you acting like this? But you're so smart, and like I don't know.
It's the first time that I met Brooke was just like, oh, like Brooke, like she's just talking like anybody else. But then when you saw her interact with people in the team, oh my gosh, like Brooke is the life of the party.
She is. She is.
100%.
Yeah.
She is. She brings all the energy onto the field. So let's talk here. Senior year, favorite memories that you've had. It could be with, I guess, a roommate. I know that you're close with Izzy. I know that, I mean, really close with everybody on the team. But what are some things you're going to take away as major memories from this program?
I'm really bad at remembering like specific details, but the relationships that I've made here are just so special, and just being able to play is just so fun. I don't know.
No, it's perfect.
It's a good answer.
It's perfect. It's a really good answer. It is. So
it's simple. You just enjoy playing.
I do,
You
yeah.
enjoy the practices.
Yeah.
The games.
Mhm.
Yeah, everything.
Yeah, and the people are just like great. Like that's why like a big reason why I came here is because of the people.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like it's
And before we let you go, I know that, talking about the injury and everything like that, what's one major thing you're going to take away from that you will tell, your future kids, future players that, hey, I went through this. What's your message to them?
I think there's just an opportunity in everything. It's not the opportunity you want, but it's a different opportunity for something else, and like always see the positive in it. Because when you don't, like, there's nothing you can do to change what happened. You can't. If you dwell on it, it's just going to get worse. And so celebrate the little victories that happen and come along the way, and just appreciate what you can do.
Yeah. No, that's well said. And you even said earlier, talking about, I guess, pre-surgery, you were in a bad headspace. And it's okay to be in a bad headspace, but you can't stay there.
Yeah.
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 And you had the ability to look forward.
Yeah.
No, that's impressive.
Awesome. Great. Fantastic stories. Parker, we wish you nothing but the best throughout the rest of the year. Stay healthy. And let's go win us a championship or a couple of those.
Yeah.
Let's go. Parker Gelinas, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming on. We will take a break. When we come back, we will have head coach of the UT Martin football team, Jason Simpson, joining us on Skyhawk Sports Talk.
Skyhawk Sports Talk podcast is brought to you by Weekly Ford Nissan.
And we're back here on Skyhawk Sports Talk. Davis Gregory here with Chris Brinkley. And joining us now, head coach of the UT Martin football team, Jason Simpson. UT Martin coming off their game against Kansas State. Coach, a very long road trip, but that game against the Wildcats, it was a competitive one that your guys went into.
No, it was. Let's go back to the first statement you made. Very long.
Please, let's do it. Let's do it.
Very long, man. I don't know. Whoever said 9 hours, 9.5 hours.
They're lying.
No, that's not in a bus. It's not. So I guess we left a little before 8 a.m. on Friday morning, and what did we get to the hotel? Maybe 6:50. I was trying to get to the Westview game, online.
Oh yeah.
And it was the national anthem was on when I got in the hotel. So right there before 7 o'clock. So long trip, but
and I don't think, Coach, people would think about this a lot, but at the higher level with the bigger budgets, you fly.
Yeah.
You fly short trips. Yeah. At our level, most of the time you're on a bus.
Yeah, no doubt. And on the way there, it's never I'm excited. The players are excited. New venue we haven't been to before and stuff. But on the way back's where it really gets you. Okay. I mean, it was 6 o'clock game. I guess we left around a little after 10, and I think it was 7:55 a.m. When we got in the parking lot there at Bob Carroll Building. So, the game seems. I know you're going to ask me questions about the game. It seems so long ago, even though it was
right. It does.
36 hours ago. But because we've kind of moved on to this week's opponent, SEMO. But no, talking about the game. First of all, good venue. My first time at Kansas State. Our program's first time. Nice facility, nice, loud and quaint stadium. I think they do an outstanding job there. Head coach, Coach Kleiman, nice guy. Okay, he and I on the AFCA Board of Trustees together. We talked about last week. He's been the FCS coach. They had, very complimentary things about our program, and I really appreciated that. When talking about the game, obviously 17-6 in the third. Go back. I expected our defense to play well, and they did. Offensively, knew it was going to be. You're going to have to hit some of those bigger plays. Okay, they're pretty salty on defense. Got a good scheme, and we didn't make them. And got to figure out a way to give us some more opportunities and put the kids in those positions, and hopefully they'll make them as we go forward. But there, like anything, there's things that. When you turn the tape on, there's some good things. One, we talked about playing with tremendous effort and physicality, and I thought we did that for them. When the game was in hand, probably the last 10 minutes, that's not our brand of football, but I certainly was pleased, up until the end of the third quarter, how hard we were playing. Some things we're going to meet, at 145 or with the offense about is a lot of things that maybe you don't see on the tape or you don't see from the stands, but we know, just getting signals and getting lined up and those those first game jitters, I've been seeing them all camp, okay? and just having details on offense. And it was every position. All right, you could point at probably the first 30 plays. There's probably one guy that wasn't precise, on that particular play, and it could be, a landmark. Now don't get me wrong, that's how you score. You score because the defense is out of gap or they miss a tackle. Okay. But in order to get first downs and have positive runs or completions, okay, you got to have better pass sets at tackle. Okay, you've got to get some separation. You got to get an outside release when you're supposed to get an outside release and not go inside of the corner and clog up the route combinations. When you're going with motion and the backers bump, okay, we practice that the center and guard are working to this certain offensive linebacker, and that way your pushes in your zone games are correct. So there was some for everybody, and me included. So a lot of stuff we can improve on.
But you said, it's a 14-point game with 5:39 to go in the third quarter. It was a very competitive football game.
Yeah.
And defensively, getting into it, Chris Hunter has an interception on their quarterback, just gets after that seam route. And, defensively going into some more. Jalen Sharp, he has 2 tackles for loss. And one guy that I noticed just watching the game and calling it, Robert Johnson, felt like he had a good game at defensive back.
Yeah. Robert's a good player. We're very happy. Great personality from Memphis, North Texas transfer. He's a good player. We've seen that since the spring. He's long and good breaks on the ball. I think there was probably one play that he's in cover 3 and he's showing press and he's to the field and he kind of bailed out. Maybe a little early, and they get him on the slant. I think that's one he'd like to have back, certainly. But no, our good players, Robert Johnson, and they're not the only ones, but Robert and Sharp made some good plays. Josh Hastings made some good plays. McKnight, new player, transfer from Appalachian State, D lineman. Those 4 on defense kind of really showed up. On the interception, it was a great play by Chris Hunter. That's not his play, and he was kind of making up for somebody. The safety's, the boundary safety's supposed to be in the post, and that's fixing to be a touchdown. And like I said, that's not Chris Hunter's play. And that ball, a little air is put on it, and they catch it for a touchdown. And so Chris has got, really good instincts and really has a nose for the ball. But those are some of the ones that we're talking about, to where our safety's got to get in the post. We're playing single safety coverage, and we know that. And, we've done that 1,000 times, and we've got to be able to get there. So, you can play really good defense for 45 plays, and then, I was disappointed. There was 3 big runs that got out. I think I just looked at it, a 44-yarder, 2 30-something yarders that got out. And Coach Butcher went through it, and it was different linebacker fits and one fit on the safety. And, sometimes it's not just missed tackles. Everybody's where they're supposed to be. But unfortunately, sometimes we end up with 2 in a gap because of the different blocking scheme or blitz pattern that we have. And the back does a good job of finding it where we're not. And, that's what good offenses do. And so, anyway, those are self-imposed things that, we got to improve on.
The many years I would interview you in your office, I would get there while you were watching film with coaches, and I was amazed at your ability to watch film, the input you got from coaches and the way you discussed it. And now you have the ability to just break down every single individual play. How do you incorporate that with your players now? Because you gathered so much information in this game to say you did this right, but you got to do better on this. How do you work it with the players now?
Well, in the meeting rooms and stuff, it's not any different. The only different now than 10 years ago, 5 years ago, is that we can push out information more on their phones, practice tape, cut-ups of like formations or
so they have access to that on the phone and can watch it.
Yeah, exactly. They'll watch it just, kind of like a video game, but this is something, a meaningful game that they've got on Saturday. One of the things we've done on offense is, besides just keeping up with how much tape that they watch, of how many hours they're logged in, right? I mean, you could log in and not get back on it, and the hours build up.
So you said you watched 2 hours, is that right?
So guess what? By tomorrow's practice, when they come in, there's questions they have to have answered by position. What's the numbers of the starting the starting DBs? What's their favorite coverages? What's their favorite blitzes? By format. So that way they have had to watch the tape with a purpose. Okay, and it gives them knowledge when you get to your Tuesday, Wednesdays practice, when you're working on first and second downs and then Wednesdays, third downs and stuff. So, you're just not looking at markers on the board, circles on the board. So I think technology has helped in that aspect. Now, we got a long way to go with our sideline technology. Not real sure if it's our fault or the product or whatever, but the screens and the tablets in the press box didn't work. Couldn't get a picture going, and we don't know if it's from all the different things going on up there. We don't know. And then on the bottom, yes, you could see it, but the problem is that it's not like you can just go to it. There's only 4 of them, okay? So let's use 2 on offense, 2 on defense, or we share them, okay? But you got to go through all the plays to get, and if you're on play 120 in the game, you got to go through them all to get to that one play. It doesn't keep it in sequence, and it doesn't just, play 57 of the game.
Yeah. We had technical difficulties with our broadcast, too, because of the internet issues. So it may have been something there. I don't know how you figured that out.
Right. Well, that's not why we lost the game, for sure. But, those are some aids that could help us going forward.
And moving on here, but some wins for the week and looking to build on some of these. I mean, no turnovers, and you were able to force 2.
Yeah.
And then Kansas State was 4 of 10 on third down, Coach. I thought that was very impressive.
Once again, I thought Coach Butcher had a good plan, and at times we executed really well. Anytime you're in the game like that against a Big 12 opponent, you've done some good things. Don't get me wrong. Okay. I think our players had bigger expectations than that. I mean, there was a very frustrated locker room at the end of it, which is a good thing. Okay, right? I mean, I think we were proud of ourselves after Georgia's first half last year. Okay, I think we were more frustrated after this one because there's a lot of players that played in that game, in that Georgia game last year. But you got to learn from it. Those mistakes. There is a confidence and arrogant or there's a fine line between the two, okay? And just because you played a lot of ball, just because you played in a lot of football games, doesn't mean that you can't be detailed. Doesn't mean you can't concentrate on every play. Doesn't mean you ever take an opponent or play for granted. And those are some things that I'll bring up. So I think you got to concentrate on that particular area. All right, and then there's some other guys that aren't arrogant. Okay, they've got to gain more confidence. Okay, how do you do that? You've got to make sure you come out of those meetings and practice plans and knowing exactly what you're looking at, and this is where you have to be, and this is your rules, and you got to be able to execute that rule very fast. And be confident in it, be able to execute in it. So we're no different than anybody else that didn't play real well on Saturday. People have to make the corrections.
And big game this Saturday coming up with SEMO. This one at 6 p.m. We talked. Chris and I talked before.
The first time I saw the schedule, I was like, "Is this right?"
Guys.
Here we go.
Well, when I looked at, North Alabama, Memphis rushed for, I don't know. I mean, and I'm jumping ahead of North Alabama because that's who we got at home next week. I think Memphis rushed. Yeah, they won the game 40-0, but they rushed for like 50 yards against North Alabama. I see that one. I see Kennesaw played whatever FBS team they played well. I see Tennessee State got a win. Tennessee Tech, almost beat MTSU. So now sometimes all that can be misleading. You get to the middle of the year and you see, it kind of sorts itself out. Okay, but that's concerning. Got good teams on our schedule going forward, and certainly this is they're all big, but no, it is important because you're on the road, and you got to win on the road in order to be able to stay on top of the league. And you're playing a quality opponent that, feels like they should have beat an FBS opponent. New Mexico State on the road. The quarterback's back. We didn't face him last year. He got hurt in the first game, but he had 45 attempts this past week. He's a very good player. I have the utmost respect for their team. They got good scheme on defense. Very hard to move the football against. Very challenging, and then when they can score 30 points, they're a big problem, and which they've been able to do that with their quarterback. From the first game, even their backup quarterback. So, no, we got our hands full this week, and I have a lot of respect for Coach Took, and I'm sure we're circled on theirs. And that was what I was telling the coaches today. You know, we've got to go into this game. We've got to be the hunter. We can't be the hunted. Okay, I mean we've got to make sure that we've got the UT Martin belief system that everybody thinks they're better than us, and we've got something to prove. That better be our mentality this week.
Yeah.
And they've already played 2 games this year.
Yeah.
You talked about week 0, and then they played New Mexico State. So how do you look – I mean, how do you watch that game and build up? Because I know it might help to be able to have some more film on those guys because they've already played 2 games. So how does it help you all in the planning process getting ready for this week?
Well, we only had 55 plays in the game against Kansas State. But we're so familiar with each other. I don't know that really helps or hurts either side. I think the advantage that they have, if they didn't get anybody injured that's going to be out, is some of the mistakes that we made. I expect us not to make this week. And we'll make some, but then hopefully we correct those the next week. So they have that advantage on us, is that they've seen themselves on tape against another opponent. They've been able to correct some things. And they've had 2 games together, and I thought, like I said, we traveled well, and pregame, all that stuff. I was pleased with how the kids handled all that stuff, But now they're on game 3 of it. So anyway, if I had to pick I'd rather already have 2 games under my belt before I played them. Sure.
Yeah, and so how do you get locked in? I know we kind of touched on it a little bit, but how do you get locked in for such a pivotal early conference game? Because this is normally a non-conference game where it's either a North Alabama, a game you still want to win to boast the playoff resume. But, I mean, this one means a lot, certainly in the chase for a conference championship.
Well, a couple things. One, the math says that it doesn't, 1-0 doesn't win you the conference, and 0-1 doesn't lose you the conference. Okay,
True.
The math plays out, throughout still got 11 games left, and we'll have 7 conference games left, right? All right, so that's what the math says. So you can't make it bigger than what the math says it is. Okay, but we consider them just like they consider us a rival. We went before we won the last 3 conferences. They had won it. They had won it several years in a row. And had gone deep in the playoff. The year they go out to Montana, right, and beat us on the coin flip, and represented the conference well. And they went to Montana. They had an opportunity to win that game. So, I don't have any. We won't treat it any differently.
Absolutely.
I don't think we can do that. I just think we got to find some things we can do on offense and defense, and do them well, and hope that our recruiting and development is enough to give us an opportunity.
He sounds like a wise coach who's coached a couple of games.
A little bit, just a little bit.
What do you want our fans to know?
You know what? They got a new stadium or redid their home side, so haven't seen that yet. But we had never really traveled well there. Okay, so I'd love to see.
It's an hour and 45 minutes.
Yeah,
hit up Lambert's before you go.
Yeah, exactly. But it is encouraging. I remember in 2006, and I don't know if that's the reasons why. It was the first time we'd won in a long time. 2006. Remember we went and played Murray for the conference championship, and we had more fans there than they had. 100% we did.
Yeah.
That would help.
Yeah.
That would help. 200 people in the stands sitting right behind us helps. Okay, but besides just our parents travel and they're with the kids, and but it's not because it's UT Martin. They're coming to see their kids. Okay,
so I think it's important that you say that and to recognize that you recognize them.
Oh,
I mean, it matters, is what you're saying.
I can see that blue and orange, in the stadium, and our players do too, guys. I mean, I always loved Kansas State. I thought had a great student section. I mean, it was outstanding. It wasn't, it wasn't as hateful maybe as some that I've been in. I mean, they were very polite.
Yeah, they were nice. They were nice to us.
But they were loud.
Midwestern values.
Yeah, it was great. No, it really was. They were the quality. It was a quality fan base there. But we need to be able to travel some. So, I get it. The games are on stream now, and you can watch them and stuff like that. But it does make a difference. It's hard to go in the stadium and win on the road when there's only 50 people there, behind you. But I would say that. But yeah, we're excited about it. got a lot of work to do this week, but the ball will be kicked off Saturday at 6 o'clock.
And it will. And, Coach, going into it before we let you go, I mean, talking about some of those defensive guys, but I want to touch on the offensive guys before we let you go. I mean, Narkel and Patrick Smith, I thought they had some burst plays that looked really good in the offensive line as well. I mean, how are you looking for that 1-2 punch to contribute? Because those are two talented backs behind that very talented offensive line.
No doubt. There was time the offensive line gave them some creases, so that was good to see. Against obviously a quality front that we were going against. But Narkel runs hard. I mean, he's got to get his pads down. He's not very big. He's 170 pounds. But he is a competitor, and we just got to get his pads down to finish off some runs. And I think Cheeks, as we call him, Patrick Smith, will continue to get better. I think you'll see some more production out of him as we go throughout the season. Everything's new to him with us. Just kind of got to get him in a rhythm and stuff and get him going. I thought Glover Cook had some good runs there at the end in the second half. It was good to see Rashad some short yardages. He had some nice, got his pads down and got a first down. Didn't really get to see a whole lot from the pass game. We couldn't hold up in protection, okay? That's why you didn't see any drop back. So most everything you saw was off the play action, which the ball's thrown down the field 40, 50 yards, right, which is lower percentage plays. But Tank did a nice job running past them, which we knew he would, in some double moves. And, expect him to finish those catches off this week.
Well, Coach, thanks so much for joining us. It's going to be a big game in Skyhawk Nation. We need you there. We need you. I don't know if we can get coupons on the way up for fast food or something, but we got to get them something to give them an incentive to come on up and support us.
I need 10 people there for every hour I was on that bus.
You deserve
so that's almost 24 hours, right? So that at least be 240.
That's a fair deal.
I'm too old to be on that bus that long,
and you
guys.
deserve that.
Yeah, it's a fair deal. Coach, thanks so much for joining us. We'll
guys.
talk to you next week.
Skyhawk Sports Talk Podcast is brought to you by Weekly Ford Nissan.
And that'll wrap it up for episode 2 of season 2 of Skyhawk Sports Talk. Davis Gregory here with Chris Brinkley. What a great episode, Chris, hearing so many stories from our student athletes, from Parker, her recovery from her knee injuries, and now being able to play, getting OVC Defender of the Week. Dylan and how she's been able to build up such a great relationship with Coach Wilson, and also how she's come out of her shell now here in her 5th year as a student at UT Martin. And then also for Josiah walking on at UTM, and now he's a 3-time conference champion and a starter on that offensive line. And hearing from Coach Simpson, big game this week, and always great to talk to our student athletes and our coaches.
Yeah, certainly support Skyhawks. If you can make it to Southeast Missouri, do so. If not, you can listen on the radio, watch on ESPN+. Follow UT Martin at utmsports.com or all on the social media platforms.
Or bring a radio to the game.
Yep, you can do that too.
You could do that. Completely easy. Chris will be in the studio. Chuck Hammer and I will be on the call. Going to be a great week for all of our programs. Volleyball, make sure to come out. They have that home tournament. Going to be a really fun weekend for them. Soccer going to be at home on Sunday for last home match for a while, and then football, of course, going to be on the road at SEMO. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and we'll be signing off. We'll see you in episode 3 of Skyhawk Sports Talk.
Skyhawk Sports Talk Podcast is brought to you by Weekly Ford Nissan.